Good morning and welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Ms. Francina Haindongo Eliazar. Let's welcome our friend Chanel, who's going to be our assistant for today. Before we start, let's not forget to sanitize our hands. We must also keep in mind our social distancing and never ever forget to mask up. Today's topic is on diseases, whereby we are going to look at HIV and AIDS. Grade 5s, let's quickly turn to page 20. We are going to look at diseases, where in specific we'll look at HIV and AIDS. At the end of this lesson, each and every learner should be able to differentiate between HIV and AIDS in simple terms, investigate and describe misconceptions, myths about HIV and AIDS, state ways in which HIV is and is not transmitted, explain why sexual abstinence before marriage and faithfulness after marriage are the most effective protection possible for HIV infection. There are a few words that we should quickly look at before we continue with the lesson. We have treatment. Treatment means medical care given to a patient for an illness or injury. Transmitted means causes of something or to pass on from one person or place to another. Abstinence means saying no to sex. Myths and misinterpretation of the truth. Let's differentiate between HIV and AIDS in simple terms. Let's quickly start off with HIV. HIV is a short word that stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. HIV is a virus which attacks our immune system. It weakens our white blood cells, which makes our immune system, or let me say our defense mechanism, weak and unable to fight for infections or diseases. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, which is a disease that is caused by HIV. The moment HIV destroys our white blood cells and weakens our immune system, it's unable to fight for infections anymore, and that's when our body is attacked by many infections and diseases, and that is what we call AIDS. Let's quickly move on to page 21. HIV and AIDS is transmitted in many different ways, and there are also many different ways how HIV is not transmitted. HIV in our bodies stays only in certain parts, for example, in certain fluids such as blood, semen, preseminal fluids, rectal fluids, vaginal fluids, and breast milk. Those are the only parts that can transmit HIV in our bodies. Therefore, you can only get HIV from having unprotected sex. You can also get HIV through drugs, especially drug addicts when they share injections. HIV is also transmitted through blood transfusion. For example, when you are in an accident and you lose a lot of blood, that's when you go to the hospital and get new blood from somebody else. There you can get HIV. You can also get HIV through pregnancy. For example, a pregnant mother can pass on HIV from her to an unborn baby. And we can also get HIV from non-sterile instruments. Different ways how HIV cannot be transmitted. You cannot get HIV by touching or shaking hands. You cannot get HIV by sharing utensils or sharing food. You cannot get HIV through kissing. You cannot get HIV through insect bites, for example, mosquitoes or any other animal bite. And you can also not get HIV from sharing a swimming pool or a public toilet. Grade 5s, we are still on page 21. Misconceptions or myth about HIV and AIDS. Remember, I already told you, myth means misconception about HIV and AIDS, or information or wrong information which is mistaken for the truth. Sometimes we say things which are not true, but then there are those people that believe them. But in actual fact, they are not true. Example of this myth. Like number 1, I can get HIV by being around people who are HIV positive, which is actually not true. There is no way you can just get HIV from being around someone. Myth number 2, I can get HIV from a mosquito. Remember when we did how HIV is not transmitted, we talked about us not getting HIV from any animal bite, which is also not true. Number 3, I'm HIV positive, my life is over. You can have HIV for many, many years. It doesn't mean that if you have it today, then your life ends there. That means this is just a misconception. HIV is a sexual transmitted, HIV is a homosexual disease. HIV can infect anyone, not only homosexual, but any one of us can get HIV. Number 5, male circumcision prevents HIV. That is a myth. If I'm receiving treatment, I can't spread the HIV virus, which is not true. So these are just things that people say, but they are not true. Turn over to page 22. Explain why sexual abstinence before marriage and faithfulness after marriage are the most effective protection possible for HIV infection. Abstinence offers adolescents in particular a number of advantages. When you abstain from sex, means you stay away completely from sex. What are the advantages that we have there? It prevents you from getting unwanted pregnancies, or let's say teenage pregnancies. It also saves you time and energy to go to the hospital to look for contraceptives or or it also prevents you from getting other sexual transmitted diseases. Sexual abstinence requires no supply or clinic visits. Being faithful to your partner in marriage means that you are saving your family from getting HIV and AIDS, and you are also saving other families from getting HIV and AIDS. Here down, we have something for you to do. That is your fun quiz. You must try to answer these questions that follows. Try to remember any difference between HIV and AIDS. Tell us what is HIV, and you also tell us what is AIDS. Another question is, mention the effective methods to protect yourself from HIV and AIDS. Just a quick recap on today's lesson. We've looked at the difference between HIV and AIDS, different ways how HIV can be transmitted and cannot be transmitted. We've also looked at the misconceptions or myth about HIV and AIDS, and also remember how abstinence and faithfulness can protect you from getting HIV and AIDS. Before we go, let us quickly sanitize our hands. Remember to keep a social distance and never leave your mask at home. Please keep it on. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh and I'm back. Even though the schools are closed, I thought about we can still do online classes, learning and reading. You can also do your schoolwork. Until next time, bye!